Welcome back. It's the 300.1 episode. Boy, I'm going to have problems tonight because, well, I'm kind of really tired. But we've got a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't squeeze into the main show. We're going to start off with an article from New Scientist. The sun just belched out the strongest solar flare in 12 years. So the highlights are on the morning of September 6th, an active region on the sun belched out two huge streams of radiation. One of them was the largest such flare in over a decade. The high-frequency radios stopped working on the side of the Earth facing the sun, and GPS communications were degraded for about an hour. If, like these bursts, a solar flare is directed at Earth, it can create long-lived radiation storms that can wipe out some radio and GPS signals, interfere with satellites, and even damage electrical grids on the ground. In a few days, it could also lead to spectacular auroras. So, hey, guys, we now have a good reason why we can't find our caches.
It's true. You know, we were supposed to have the Northern Lights as far down here as Seattle. I didn't see a thing. Land Monkey, did you see anything here?
No, I don't think I had a good night for watching them when that was supposed to happen, but I did see some photos from Wisconsin that a friend shared on Facebook that was just amazing, of the Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, we did not see him down here, though we were supposed to, but the reason was we had heavy cloud cover.
Too much pollution from the coal burning.
No, it's clean coal. There's no pollution.
Oh, clean coal.
Yeah,
I thought it was revenge from the Canadians, so because we took their solar eclipse.
Oh, no.
When are the Canadians going to actually build a wall?
We already did. We just haven't told the Americans.
I can't figure out why it takes me so long.
Here they just built a moat.
They just keep running north and bonk, falling down. Nope, that can't be right. Try again.
Wonder Woman built the wall. It's invisible.
Dear God.
Made out of the same material as the jet.
Ah, the Wonder Woman jet. I hope that's in the next film.
I was really disappointed there wasn't a Wonder Woman prop plane, or at least a glider or something in this.
But do you remember when they did it in X-Men? It just looks so corny.
Oh yeah.
DC seems to be going serious with the films, don't they? So I wish they wouldn't.
Yeah.
But
I haven't seen it yet, but I have no desire to see it because the DC ones have been so blah.
Actually,
I have to be.
It's a good DC movie.
Yeah,
I've heard that it's worth seeing. So now that it's out on video, I'm gonna try to either borrow it or rent it.
get that on video. He's not going to stream it or download it. He's going to watch it on VHS.
Yeah, I was going to say Betamax.
I want the 4K Blu-ray. Thank you.
He's going to put it on video disc.
Hey,
Beta.
I was actually a heavy Laserdisc user.
That doesn't surprise me, actually.
No.
Well,
on the Laserdisc thing, we actually used it for work a lot of the time. Laserdisc was very, very common in kiosks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were doing, go ahead.
In a couple of video games.
Yeah, it was Dragon's Lair and Space Ace.
I remember those.
They're terrible, but yes, they are laser discs.
Oh, they were.
But the laser discs could be controlled with RS-232. Serial ports, same thing that's like on the back of your old GPSRs, and they would just take control from the computer, so you could do the touch screens or whatever and control them and jump around and have full screen video before you could do it. But the other thing that they were used quite frequently for was the roll-ins for the broadcast video, because Laserdiscs were at the CAV format, true native NTSC or PAL. It was as accurate as you could get, and the D1 tape was like the next best thing. You know, that was a recordable format. And I want to say, you know, this is back in the mid 90s. A D1 deck was something like $250,000. So, okay, we can get a D1 deck that's huge for $250,000, or buy a couple of these $2,000 Laserdisc players and spend a couple $100 to master it. And yeah, okay, I think we know what we're doing.
Why do you know all this crap?
Because I used to work in this industry. I used to do the video and the kiosks and that kind of stuff.
I have no idea what you just said to me.
It's technology. Mark. He was talking about technology. It's okay. It'll get to the UK eventually.
I got Laserdisc and then lost track of where we were going.
I was with you, Mark.
It must be just American things. We use a lot of letters and stuff, and just pretend to know stuff.
The CAV is the 30 minutes per side. The CLV was the 60 minutes per side.
He's doing it again.
How's
Look
that?
at him. He's doing it again. He's doing it again.
I'll geek out on you all you want.
And yet they can't even work out kilometers and meters and centimeters. Bless them. Bless them.
That's just magic.
Actually, this solar flare thing, my brother thinks actually it's a conspiracy from NASA that they've used CGI to pretend as solar flares.
To cover up what?
I have no idea, but he also believes in contrails as well. So
man landing on the sun, of course.
Yeah.
We have a secret base on the sun.
Yeah.
We might as well be walking on the sun.
Not Nazis at the other side of the moon as well.
There you
go.
Yeah. There's a movie on Amazon, I think it is, you know, under the free Prime or whatever, called like Nazis on the Moon. And I tried watching like the first 10 minutes of it, and that was like too painful. I couldn't go any further.
So, Daryl, that was a documentary then?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
With
I kept going. I kept going. This is the type of movie why you need MST3K.
I've noticed that's on Netflix over here now.
Oh yeah. Because they brought the series, or they actually purchased the rights to the series from the not the reboot, but the resurrection, I guess.
They've got both. I don't know what they've got over there, but they've got both over there, the retro ones and the new ones by the looks of it.
We only have, I think, something like a dozen or so of the old episodes. And the whole problem there, as I understand it, they can't get the rights to stream the movies. They couldn't get the rights to cut DVDs of the movies. You know, when they negotiated rights back in, I think what started like 89. Does that sound right?
I don't know.
But whenever they started that series, they never got the rights for anything more than the broadcasts because they didn't think there was a chance that they would need them.
They didn't think it would succeed, or they didn't think there'd be anything beyond broadcast?
I have the feeling it was they didn't realize that there was going to be anything beyond broadcast. You know, this was the late night B movie kind of thing. Like Elvira was a big one around here. You know, they just didn't think anything about it. It was a little Minnesota station or something like that. Was it Minnesota, Wisconsin?
This is why a lot of music can't be put on streaming services as well, because they can't clear the samples for it.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to download it for free off the back of the internet.
Uh-huh.
The back of the internet.
Well, and there were people that I ran into just, through connections at work and that kind of stuff of, oh, we have every episode of MST3K on Super VHS. Really?
And
are you kidding me?
I want to actually understand something. So when Mark talked about the back of the internet, is that where the nutritional facts are?
That's exactly where it is. It's where everything you need to know. It's all gluten free.
So you turn your router around.
You can't eat too much of it.
Turn the router around to access the back of the internet.
Yeah, and you don't get bloated by having the back of the internet.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Is there
All right,
nature
Chris.
area on the back of the internet?
Is there what? Sorry,
Is there a nature area on the back of the internet?
there's a lot of squirrels, so there may be one.
Okay.
Squirrel nature area.
We had to bring it back to the squirrels.
I don't believe I just heard that on a GeoGearHeads podcast. If I'm honest,
Okay, Chris,
it wasn't
let's
even-
get back to the feedback.
and it was one of you two that brought it up as well.
We got email from, oddly enough, Geocacher. Who knew on a geocaching podcast that a geocacher or the geocacher would email in?
Well, it's G0 Cacher, I think.
That looks like a capital O to me.
Oh, it might be.
Could it be Acker?
Ooh. This
Acre?
is the Acre? Caker?
One who aches is an acre.
Acre. Yeah, okay.
You geeks.
GOK Acre says, I'm sorry, geocacher. That was uncalled for, but well, this is what we do here.
On the bonus shows, everything is free game.
They
This is
say-
the sleep deprivation episode.
This
For
is
whom?
you're going to get your money's worth episode.
Oh.
On episode 298, you discuss the effects of sunrise and sunset on GPS accuracy. In my subsequent online search of this topic, pause here for a moment. Daryl, when we say things, people actually take them seriously and go and look. So we have to be careful. Mark, that applies to you as well. Okay.
Say anything. I mean, Americans are great. Research that.
I found a related article about the potential effects of the recent solar eclipse on GPS signals. Good news is no major effect was predicted and no significant effect was observed during the eclipse. Thanks for all the great info, and I'm looking forward to your milestone episode 300. And so are we, Geocacher. So are we.
We're still looking forward to it. All right. We also got an email from Griffo about a story that I actually punched in to the lineup, like, I want to say hours before I got this email from him. So thank you very much for sending it. But I have the IEEE Spectrum article about super accurate GPS chips coming to smartphones in 2018. So just briefly,
to Apple in 2020 then.
Maybe 2024.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Broadcom, so we could be seeing this in the next versions of the iPhone.
I don't want to see it until Samsung have tried it out, proved it doesn't work, and Apple find a way of making it work.
Well, this is actually a Broadcom chipset, and it allows for 30 centimeter accuracy instead of just the 5 meters that we're currently getting out of the same chipsets. So 5 meters, which is oh, Mark, you like metrics so much. Do the math.
I don't know. It's about a foot. I don't know.
That would be 5,000 centimeters.
Yeah, but in feet and inches is about a foot.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a
5
chipset.
meters. That's
No.
about 15 meters to
2.5 centimeters.
About
2.5
6
centimeters
inches.
to an inch. Yeah. 2.5 centimeters to an inch.
Okay. So we're looking at huge accuracy improvement. And this is coming via the level 5, the L5. Actually, I'm not sure that's level, but it's the L5 signal.
So is this a chipset thing, or is it satellite
It's a
technology?
chipset taking advantage of the L5 satellites.
Because we already have.
A more accurate signal being sent from the GPS satellites.
Yeah, we already have on site the GPS machines that do it within centimeters.
Right. And this is basically giving us consumer access to that
Right.
same technology. And they question in the article, why is this happening now? And this is actually some quotes from the associate director of the GNSS product marketing at Broadcom. He says, up until now, there haven't been enough L5 satellites in orbit. At this point, there's about 30 satellites in orbit, counting a set that flies over Japan and Australia. even in cities' narrow window of sky, you can still see 6 or 7, which is pretty good. So now is the right moment to launch it.
Interesting. The only drawback is you have to carry a satellite antenna the size of a king-size mattress.
White Coaster says it's only a 5-meter dish.
Oh, that's about the same size.
Yeah, but I think the mattress might be a little bit easier to get through doorways.
Oh, okay.
The systems we use on site are I don't know, it's 6-inch. No, that's 6-inch to 8-inch screen with a ruggedized box.
Tablet.
Yeah, it's a ruggedized box because you put them in dumper trucks and things like that.
Sure.
And
yeah, Trimble was big on those not that long ago.
That's what we use. Trimble, is it? Yeah, we use those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm familiar with some of those just from working with Trimble years ago.
It's weird. It just looks like a giant. What's the yellow GPSR unit that Garmin had?
E-Trex.
Yeah, it just looks like one of their touchscreen ones.
Oh yeah,
it's weird to see.
It was probably the original yellow E-Trex is what the whole system is based upon.
Yeah, but how much do those Trimble units cost? The last one of those kind of things that did the higher accuracy I saw was over $5,000.
Yeah, possibly.
And this is going to be just a standard old chipset that goes into a phone.
Yeah, I mean, what I can't wait to see is this technology to be linked with AR.
Well, what I'm curious about, and I'm sure it's going to be linked to the AR, is when are we going to see this in actual handheld units? Because they didn't make any mention of migrating this into, outdoor GPSRs.
Yeah, but it ruined geocaching, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Scott
it's going to make you hide better caches, I think.
Scott complains when the GPSR took him right to the caches it was.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things I used to say is I liked going back to the smartphone because you stopped relying on the GPS in the smartphone, and it took me back to the days when I started caching, when you never could rely on your GPSR because it was so slow. So it's a lot more fun if you don't pay attention to the screen and just walk right up to where you think it is and then start hunting around. Doesn't always work so well for me, but it's a lot more fun. All right. Next one is GPS World says that the GPS 3 payloads have been delivered. So Harris is building these, as we mentioned in previous shows. The third of the 10 advanced payload navigation payloads have been delivered to Lockheed Martin, who's actually assembling them into the satellites. And these are the ones that are going to give us increased power, accuracy, and the jamming resistance. They feature the mission data unit with a 70% digital design that links atomic clocks, radiation-hardened computers, and powerful transmitters, enabling signals 3 times more accurate than those on the current GPS satellites.
But yet we're getting an L5 signal off of them, which is, 5 times more accurate than what we're getting now.
Well, I'm not sure that we're getting them off the GPS system.
2F? Oh, maybe we're not.
They might be off the 2Fs, but the way that sounded, it was coming from like the Galileo and the quasi location satellites.
Yeah, you're right.
Is Europe pushing this because you no longer believe in anything that's outside of America?
America first.
If it doesn't make America great again,
I was just going to say this is just part of the Make America Great Again, because right now we don't have the greatest GPS system in the world.
I mean, you don't have the environment doesn't exist in America. Coal's coming back. GPS is going away.
Well, we're fixing our GPS. That's just working on it. Anyway, so yeah, this is new technology coming that's actually been delivered. So, maybe in like 2-3 years, I think it is, we'll actually see a launch.
And it won't, we won't see anything until we get a bunch of these things up in the air.
Mark, when you get your ears back on,
so The dog was
Team
whining.
Avaju says the Brexit guy.
Yeah, says Brexit.
Yeah, we're evolving
From what?
from Europe. They're all going right wing like American. We're going down
Wrong.
the can.
If they're going right, you must be going wrong.
You know, you're screwed.
And you're much better.
Yeah, look, what's being the United States helped you lot?
All right. Well, getting to the European satellites, the
Okay,
last of the Galileo satellites has left the ESA test center. So there you go.
So
There you go.
that means that's
They're almost done.
the Galileo constellation.
Correct.
And
So this is yeah, now this one it actually said had to go back for some final refurbishment.
It was secondhand, wasn't it?
It was
They
like,
basically bought a second-hand satellite and had to refurb.
I was gonna say when I saw that, what did they grab one of the old Russian ones and try to upgrade it?
That mobile phone insurance, isn't it? You break it, you get a second-hand one to replace it. They broke it, didn't they? And Russia gave them a second-hand one.
I'm beginning to think that's actually what happened. You know, yeah, we have to refurbish it. But this is going to be one of the 3 satellites that's going to be launched in December, and with that, the satellites are all up flying around. It doesn't mean that there's going to be active because they take. Chris, we talked about that before. Do you remember? What is it, like 6 to 8 months before they come live?
Yeah, it takes a while to make sure that they're all in their right spots and that the constellation is assembled properly before they actually flip the switch and turn it on.
Yeah, because you certainly don't want any of these things going live if there's any kind of error, because just a little bit throws everything off.
Right. And then, everybody says, well, Galileo, that doesn't work, so I won't use it.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta. So they've got to get the satellites in place and then test them extensively before they're released to the public.
When are Canada going to have their own?
They do. It's called Land Monkey.
We don't need our own. We just borrow everybody else's.
Well, and you navigate there by Timmy Hortons.
There's one on every block. It's pretty easy.
They have a terrestrial navigation system called Timmy Hose.
Yeah. So I have an actual question about this.
No, don't.
What?
No.
An actual question?
These 2 geeks out enough. I'm totally lost. It's 4 a.m. Don't, Land Monkey. You've got a show to record.
So when this gets turned on, the Galileo satellites get turned on, can you just use it off of an existing GPSR, or do you need to have like a firmware update to your GPSR to allow it to work with this constellation?
If you have a chipset that supports the Galileo, then you can just use it. And the system is live. It's just not accessible to most of the world right now.
So will it be a firmware update then?
No. No firmware upgrade is required. It just needs to download the information once it's there. As far as I know, there's no handheld GPSRs that do Galileo right now. There are many smartphones. Well, the outdoor units. Like your Oregon and your
beloved
Montana.
So when are Canada going to actually declare independence from the world? Is what I really want to know.
Wow, you should read history. They've done that.
I mean, totally. Like, declare themselves superior to everybody.
See, I was wondering when Australia was going to do that, and the whole continent was just going to go like fly off and create a whole nother planet.
They're too busy being criminals to do that.
But they have all the criminal masterminds. We've seen this happen in like Superman movies.
How does that work? I've always questioned that. Yeah, we sent all our criminals to Australia into the sun, into the beautiful country of Australia, and we got left behind in this shithole. I mean, this wonderful place. How does that work?
Very well for them, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Bastards.
And I wouldn't say that all the criminal masterminds are in Australia. I mean, James Moriarty is still in the UK.
Good point, well made, but I still say he's Canadian.
Probably.
Does he use
Probably
Yep.
accent.
the
It's a
phrase
bonus show.
"a" a lot?
Sorry?
Moriarty. Is that's a gives him away as his Canadian to say?
That's it, yeah. Eight.
Moriarty, eh?
Dear.
All right, let's go to Wet Coaster's email question. And he wants to know, one, what caches would people recommend to go anywhere in the world? And
Like-
two,
Well,
what caches would you recommend for a 2-hour drive from where you live?
obviously, we have to do any cache in Australia based on the last conversation we've just had.
I was
Definitely.
thinking Antarctica. I really want to do those caches. At least one or two, get the
Well,
continent
anywhere-
checked off.
In the world. So does that leave the International Space Station out?
Well, I don't know. How long does it take you to get to the International Space Station?
Depends if you want to go on a
I
Russian
want
rocket
to.
and hope that
Well, yeah, you have to go on the Martian rocket.
Could you go in 2 hours?
No,
Well, then that's a bit out of bounds then.
'cause I want to say it's like a little over a day trip to get to the ISS.
You can
That's
do
a
that.
good question, though.
Mhm.
If anyone in the chat is still paying attention, can you look up the journey and let us know? Our research department.
If anyone in the chat is still paying attention, why?
Yes.
We're sorry.
Well, Wet Coaster went to sleep, so I'm not sure we have anyone actually still paying attention to us.
What time is it over there?
It is 11:07 p.m. right now here,
There you go. So
which
that's
is where Wet Coaster is living.
yeah, as I say, same time in Ontario.
11:30 and have given up.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, he
starting the
does have
day.
to go to work in the morning.
I did take the day off today. Anyway, so
should
recommended cache. In 2 hours, I can get to Ireland and I can get to Bray and do Europe's oldest.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
I would recommend Europe's oldest because it is what I thought geocaching would be. It's
Cool.
an ammo can, it's under rocks, and you have to climb a hillside to get to it. It is brilliant.
Nice.
Edwin is piped in and said that the fastest is 6 hours to get to the ISS.
So there you go. If you let Sam drive, you can get there in about an hour and a half.
And that really stretches the term drive. I mean, the ISS, you're not driving to the ISS.
Is there a steering wheel on a rocket?
No. Joystick.
There really should be.
There should be, shouldn't there? You don't want a proper. You want furry dice, and
I think Wallace and Gromit's had a steering wheel.
See there, Wallace and Gromit would do it.
They did. Just
Yeah.
for cheap.
Yeah, steering wheel on there. You can have your elbow out the window. Furry dice. Play some Nickelback. God.
Why would
Now,
you want
now
to do
you've
that
gone
to
too
yourself?
far with the Nickelback
Look, they're my favourite group
because they're Canadian.
because the Canadian. The one I won't listen to is Bieber. You Canadians, well done for exporting him to America.
Couldn't get rid of him fast enough.
Hey, you didn't nuke them. You did a slow, painful death to them.
Shh, stop giving away our secrets.
In North Korea could only hope to be that cruel.
All right. Let's go to another audio question.
Hello, Daryl and Chris. This is Limax calling in with a show topic for show number 300, your Randomize show. I've been sitting here thinking about all the location games that have been coming and going over the years. We've got some that have stayed around quite a bit, geocaching being the most prominent among them. Of course, Munzie really staying around and reinventing itself several times. And now we've got Pokemon Go, which also seems to be up there with the ranks of the location games that are popular and will be staying around for a while. And then we've got other attempts such as Wallaby, which I think still has kind of following with it with the scavenger hunt quality. You've got Garfield Go. The less we talk about that, the better. Cider, which really didn't seem to go anywhere. Ingress. There was the other one that's still pretty popular. I mean, you could almost say Ingress and Pokemon Go are the same game with two different wrappers on them, basically, since they use the same based location data. And I know there have been others over the years that, of course, are not coming to my mind anymore right now. But with these location-based games, I'm assuming we're going to be seeing more of them coming down the pike, especially with the success of Pokemon Go. In fact, we'll probably have some different games that have Go at the end of them, like maybe Stop and Go and Capture the Flag Go, and I really need to run in front of this car Go, or who knows. But I was just wondering where you saw location-based games going. Are we going to see more of what they call the augmented reality or something else? I would actually really like to have something with some kind of more of a story element behind it. I don't know if that would be possible or not, but it's kind of the way that I'm thinking. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Congratulations on 300 shows.
AR is where it's going.
Yeah. Thanks again, Limax. We appreciate that. You know, okay. He mentioned Garfield Go, and Garfield's gone.
Yes.
That came
I
and went.
deleted it.
You know, the best storyline I've seen in a location-based game is Ingress.
Ingress is a really deep and involved story that's a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion on that. But there was another one that I can't remember the name of because I never really got very far in it. But that was a early augmented reality game, and they again got into the story. And I think the key.
Is that what you're thinking?
No, not Code Runner. It was one where a spaceship crashes. It was 2 words. It was something anomaly, I think.
So let me weigh in on this and let you know what's going on with the 20-somethings, because that's what I have living in my house. And
That's what I have living in my
that's right. And it's the virtual reality clubs, or it's almost like a bar set up with virtual reality stations. And so, as a static area where you can interact and play in a fully immersive virtual reality booth or seat, that is huge. It's picking up, and it's just going to grow.
But that's not location based. That's
Right.
Gaming in general.
So where I was going to go with that is to what you guys were saying about augmented reality. I think what you're going to see happening is a combination of the people who are coming into this next generation, who's going to have all the money when they take our jobs, are going to be maintaining this whole thing of short attention spans. So things like Ingress and games that require in-depth attention span, gone. Not going to just not going to stick around. What you're going to see is an evolution of the Pokemon Go style of augmented reality location based, but with a more immersive, short, get to the point storyline to it.
Well, I think we're possibly going to see some like chapters, levels kind of thing with the stories. But with augmented reality, it's very, very difficult to maintain a connection with your device for very long. So I think it's going to have to be short, not just because the target market doesn't want long, but because you will get sick if you try to do longer periods of time in augmented reality.
I have to disagree with the shorter attention span. And I know it's been touted in the press, and we've seen it with our kids, but why are films getting longer?
So long.
No, seriously. I remember when we were kids, if you had a 3-hour film, you'd have to have an intermission while they changed the film over and whatnot. And 3 hours felt like a long film. Now it's standard. 2 to 3 hours is a standard film.
Yeah, and the stories are getting better than what we had.
Yeah, and they're not. A lot of them aren't aimed at
wouldn't
us.
say the stories are getting better, but what's getting better is the immersive aspects of it.
Yeah. The effects are better, which sometimes is all you need to improve the immersiveness of it. But yeah, it's improving, and there's, I think, always going to be that desire to escape. But I don't think that's going to be true in the VR and the AR world, because again, it's just really tough to stay in there that long. Now, I think ultimately we're going to figure that out. But for the short term, AR on the phone is way too tough to do, 10, 15 minutes of that in a sitting.
I think the AR is going to be a utility type application rather than a entertainment, personally.
Really?
Yeah, I think
that. I see it far more entertainment, though.
Well, we're going to see a lot of the entertainment, but look at some of the earliest AR kit apps, and this is a good part of why I think we're going to see so much of the AR stuff coming out. Is we've got AR kit on iOS and AR Core, is that what they're calling it on Android? But the two APIs have just been released for the two major phone platforms, so we're going to start seeing a lot more of this stuff.
But what you see is, I think we're seeing a bit of a reverse that we used to see. Industry develop this stuff and it rolled out to the consumer. I think we're seeing the reverse.
Well, you see a lot more indie developers.
Yeah.
When I look at industry, we're still catching up with what they're doing on phones, even.
Yeah, it's true. The hardware is well above the software.
I mean, when we talk about the GPS on site, we used to do peg bashing. So you'd set out your site and you'd have pegs that delineated distance and height of whatever you were looking at, and you could look down on the site and see where the road would be, for example. But no one's worked out yet how to apply that as an AR thing.
Interesting.
But we don't use pegs anymore. We use little flags, and you can't actually see because we use GPS in the machines, so you don't need the pegs anymore. So when you go out there as an engineer, you can't actually see what you're meant to be building visually. So AR is where I'd apply that, but no one's worked that out yet.
Well, I think they're actually doing some of that with the HoloLens. I think I've seen video of that kind of stuff, but that's still a long way off. But if you look at what they're doing with the early AR kit apps, it's things like IKEA has the app where you place the furniture in your room.
That was available on Android 2 years ago.
Well, but the way they were doing it then is different. But yeah, so that's not new. They were taking the catalog. You had to drop the catalog on the floor, and the catalog was the marker, and it wasn't terribly accurate. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't terribly accurate. It's taking that catalog, and it has to be able to see that at all times and get the aspect ratio to figure out where stuff is going. Now, the fun thing with that is you could actually put the catalog like on a table and have your couch hanging off your table.
Again, that's a utility application, isn't it? It's not a fun.
Right.
I mean, the one AR app I have is Night Sky.
Is what?
Night Sky.
Night Sky. Yes. Yeah, Night Sky had been doing some of the AR stuff earlier, if I recall.
Yeah. I mean,
but it wasn't as accurate.
Yeah, I think it's a great app, and when people see it on site, they go, "We could use that sort of thing on site."
Sure. Well, and have you heard of the Edmunds app? No. As in, Edmunds Automotive. They have an app where you can visualize the car that you want to buy in your garage.
Yeah.
So you can see if it's actually going to fit.
Does it visualize the crap I've got in my garage as well?
No, that's all in there.
Well, that goes right through the camera.
I want to visualize somebody.
Edwin's recommending also Flight Radar 24 and Maritime View as two more of the apps that are doing the same stuff as Night Sky.
I do wish they'd get rid of it. Stop trying with VR.
VR is going to turn into AR
There's
ultimately.
There's two things that have not worked, and they keep trying bash their heads against the wall. It's 3D and VR.
Yeah, the 3D has failed over and over again. Again, I think the problem, I was so happy when the last home implementation of VR died, or of a 3D died, because it was terrible. Because the two implementations gave you either reduced frame rate or reduced resolution, and both were painful to me.
It was painful to me because I wear glasses.
Yeah, well, and I don't like wearing the glasses, but
when you can't get beyond the basic principle that people wear glasses and 3D is horrible when you have to wear glasses over glasses.
Well, and most of the implementations have all kinds of issues if you don't have good vision. So
which is why I think it was interesting what Snapchat did with their glasses, because they looked actually like you could use them if they put proper lenses in.
I think you can.
Yeah, they were interesting.
The same thing was true with the Google Glass too. You could actually get prescription lenses in those.
The
you
problem
probably still can.
The problem there was it was middle-aged men bought them, and nothing middle-aged men buy is cool.
Well, it got really taken down, I think, by the camera built into the glasses. The spy thing. Men bought them. Do you really want middle-aged men with glasses?
No, I don't care if he stood next to me in the bathroom and watching me pee. You can do that all day. I'll charge you for it, but not everybody wants to see that, do they?
Nobody wants to see that, Mark. Nobody.
I tell you what, though, AR. If you could say to me, right, here's some AR. You go to your football match and you can actually look at a player and you can actually see his stats displayed on the over his head on the screen. That'd be brilliant.
Right, and they have that in baseball now.
Yeah, that to me is how you'd apply it in a fun sense. But for gaming, I don't know.
All right, let's wrap this one up because you know what? You guys, well, Mark, you need to go to sleep again. But we've got a couple of guys who have to get on to yet another show. So thank you very much. We're going to take you out with one more submission from Team Aviju.
Hello, this is Edwin, also known as Team Avetje. To win a special Magic the Gathering trackable, you have to give something for the Randomize show. Well, here's something random from the Geocaching in Sydney podcast. First, 2 geese fighting. A Dutchman walking. The sound of planes flying over canal. Opening the door of a tap near a pumping station.
Just open the door.
If you want to hear about my geocache adventures in the Greater Sydney area, go to geocaching.sydney/podcast or subscribe in iTunes.
So that was very random.
Loved it. You know, the geese fighting had a monkey type tone to it. Just saying.
Plausible.
But it was lacking in squirrels.
No, that could be squirrels' nature parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thanks again, guys, for hanging in there with us. And thanks again to all of our listeners, all of our viewers, and especially the patrons. If it weren't without you, you patrons, we couldn't keep the show coming. And, after this, they might pull off their support so that we can't keep the show going.
You're welcome.
Oh, we're only joking about ending the show at 300. We plan to go to 301 and then end it.
Well, we have to go to at least 304 because we've already sent out the invites.
Okay.
4 more Land Monkey shows.
We've got to get Daryl to his 520 shows.
Yeah, so we'll just do a bunch of 1-minute shows when we're done with 304. How's that sound? And then just release them. once a week.
Just do one show and break it up into 1 minute episodes.
Here's what we're going to talk about
Ooh.
today. Stay tuned for the next
week.
episode.
The next sentence.
Well, I could just see.
We're going to
I
hear
could just see cutting words in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Quality
Thanks
art.
again, everyone.
Right, thank you.
Good night.